What's going on, guys? Killer6 back with my level 65 Facecast Amara build for you guys, and this is revamped. We've changed some stuff. I've learned some things since my previous level 60 build, and that level 60 build actually carried me through all of the DLC 4 at level 60 gear, even once we hit like level 60 enemy or level 65 enemies, and I was able to kill the final boss with all my level 60 gear. So that build is still good, in case you guys are wondering, but I've decided to make it even better. So first of all, there's going to be chapters throughout this video. You can look at the bottom of the video player, you can see the chapters, you can skip to weapons, to skill trees, all the stuff that you need to know. You can skip to each individual chapter. There's also timestamps down in the description down below, so if you want to, you can click on the timestamps. That'll take you where you want to go as well. All right, so one of the big things that we got that helps this build even more than before is a new class mod that came in DLC 4. This thing is the MUSE. Now, if you do not have DLC 4 and you still want to use this build, by all means, just use the Phasecast. That's a base game class mod. It'll still work for you. Just try to find one that has melee damage and action skill damage. If you can get both of those things on there, then it's a masterpiece. And don't even care, don't worry about the top 3 perks at all, like Conflux, Anima. Don't worry about those at all. Doesn't matter which ones you roll on this thing, as long as you get the melee damage and the action skill damage, because the cool thing about the Phasecast is when you use your action skill, you get your maximum rush stacks right off the bat, which is a really powerful thing. Now, the reason we use the MUSE is because whenever you damage an enemy with melee, she projects a melee damage outwards of her attuned element toward another nearby enemy. And even though that itself isn't massive amounts of damage, it's really good damage. But what makes this class mod so good is, and I don't know if this is a bug, it might get changed at some point, I'm not sure, but the fact that we can roll 3 points in Illuminated Fist, which is a 1-point skill. So you're able to go 4 out of 1 in Illuminated Fist, which gives you 300% melee damage, and your melee damage is converted to your action skill element. All right, so let's go over the rest of the gear real quick. So we've got a 300/90 Linoge with 120% melee damage. You guys probably saw on stream when I got this thing to drop live. Really excited about that. Even though it's level 60, don't worry about that. The whole point of having this thing is the melee damage and the 300/90 anointment. And the thing that you're going to use that most for is if you just want to walk up and melee somebody that has full health, then you're going to get massive amount of damage out of that melee. Now, another thing that's good for is if you put on the Stinger Shield, which there'll be a Stinger Shield included with this, and this one has on action skill start, activate any effects that trigger on shield fill or break. When you pop your action skill, which we're using Phasecast, so you should throw out a Phasecast, it's going to shoot out this Nova, and it's a melee Nova, and it's pretty ridiculous. And if your shield is full, then that melee damage is increased by 50%. And then in combination with that, so if you want to do that, you put on that, you put on the Stinger Shield, and then you can put on the Unleash the Dragon down here. This gives you 100% melee ignite chance. You're going to set enemies on fire. They're going to burn to death really quick. This also has melee damage roll on it as well. All right, but generally, the way that I like to play this build is with one very specific weapon, and that's my boy right here, the Face Puncher. Now, included with this build, I have a melee damage anointment face puncher, and I have a 300/90 redundant face puncher. Now the redundant one's obviously going to give you considerably more damage, and also the fact that it's 300 over 90. This means you're going to one tap most mobs with this thing. Also included with this is after using phase cast, weapon damage by 250% Hellwalker. If you guys don't know, man, the Hellwalker is so much fun to use. If you don't want to do melee, if you want to just switch it up and just run around, shoot people in the face, you can do this thing if you want to. It's on there for you to play around with. We got a ×3 blood-starved beast. I always want to call it blood-soaked for some reason, but blood-starved beast with the ×3 and phase cast weapon damage. This thing is great for any kind of armored enemy because this one has corrosion as the main element. In addition to that, all the other weapons we got that Major Kong that I've had on my MUSE build and that I've shown off before in my Major Kong video. This one's the 300 over 90. We got a convergence, redundant convergence with consecutive hits. We have a double penetrating, gratifying prompt crit. Damn, that was a lot of words. This one with phase cast, weapon damage increased by 250. Lovable rogue with the phase cast 250. Vicious monarch with the weapon damage increased by 250. This one's a ×4. You do not really want a ×8 on anybody outside of MUSE or maybe Flak because the ammo consumption is going to be so crazy. Plus the spread's a little bit wider with the ×8. We got the Pat MK3 with the phase cast weapon damage if you guys want to use that. Can be some fun times on that. We got a Dastardly Maggie with phase cast. We just got this a minute ago, like literally right before I started recording this video. I was just testing out my build, running through the area that you see in the background here, and we got this thing to drop from a random enemy. So a 300 over 90 Hellwalker. This is a one tap specialist, so that'll be included. And then I know I covered this on my Mozerker build video. If you haven't seen that, check it out. But the level 57 OPQ, I know everybody's like, damn, I really wish that I could get that on level. It's such a good gun. Guys, guess what? It's still just fine. It's still, especially if you hit your shots. If you don't miss all your shots like I did, then it will look a lot better. But yeah, this thing is still just fine, guys. This thing will still shred. So that is the weapons with this build. Let's cover the shields. So the piece de resistance for me, for my build, is this stopgap. Now I have put on a better stopgap since the last Phasecast Amara build video. This one is a wall runner stopgap. Still not perfect. It's still not perfect, but this is what I've found, so I'm including it on here. This one, on action skill start, you're going to activate any effects that trigger on break or fill. And if you don't know, the stopgap, what it does is when your shield breaks, you become immune to any damage for 5 seconds. So here's how you play this. This is exactly how you play this Amara. Let your shield get broken by an enemy. Mentally count down from 5. When that timer runs out, keep an eye on your health. If your health starts to dip, use phase cast. Once you use phase cast, you're going to count to 5 again. Then you're going to pop another phase cast if you need to. Every time your shield breaks and then you pop a phase cast, that's 5 more seconds of immunity. You just literally cannot be killed. So let's show that off real quick here. All right, there's our shield being broke. So we got 5 seconds of immunity. And now we're going to pop phase cast. Now we're immune again. We got a skull coming, so we're going to pop phase cast again, and we're immune once more. So that's how that works, man. Pretty simple and straightforward. All right, now that said, there are some other shields on this build that you can play around with and have some fun with. First and foremost is the new one, the Plus Ultra, and this one has double roid, so 180% melee damage while the shield is depleted. This one also has action skill and gain 150% bonus incendiary damage with weapons for 10 seconds. So the way that this shield works is, all right, check out our health. Our health right now, hold on, let's go heal up completely. Anyhow, basically you get the idea. We're around like 25,000 health or so. But if you put on the Plus Ultra, then your health is going to jump up by double. Get out of here. I'm trying to show people stuff. All right, cool. So as you can see, we're up to 50,000 health now. I've also got a double Nova one on here that I found, and this one also has action skill and incendiary. I've also got an amp one that I found, and I'm also including a snowshoe. This one works really cool because what you can do with this one is you can pop your action skill, and that's going to freeze anybody that is near you. Also got all the transformers in case you want to be basic bitch mode and just go transformer. For the artifact, I generally like to run this Shockstone White Elephant because you get the White Elephant, plus you get shock damage. I've got the fish slap on here. This will give you melee damage. Then I've got a fish slap with grenade damage on here. We've got the piss grenade with on grenade throw. You get weapon grenade and action skill damage as well. And then we got a couple of Merv hexes on here. This one's the better of the two. So what can this build do? It can do everything, man. It can do the takedowns. It can handle anything in the game. There's literally nothing in the game that this build is scared of. Like I said, I was using level 60 gear in the new DLC with this build, actually with a weaker version of this build, and I went through all that stuff, and then it wasn't until later that everybody was like, K6, how do you beat this boss? How do you beat that boss? They're really tough in the new DLC. And I was like, oh, I didn't actually know that because Face Cast Amara kind of trivialized everything. All right, so here's the skill tree. This is the most important tree in my opinion, the mystical assault tree, because this one is going to give you the double action skill as your capstone. The avatar skill allows you to cast your action skill and then cast it again before the cooldown takes effect. 1 point in Remnant. This is that orb that you'll see flying around occasionally after I kill an enemy. And this thing, when it hits other enemies, it does massive amounts of damage. Up top, we got Do Harm. This one gives you stacks of rush. Activating your action skill consumes all the stacks, and then it gives you action skill damage of 4.5% per stack, and the max is 10 stacks, so that's 45% action skill damage. So when you hit somebody in the face with a face cast after you get your stacks up, this thing will wreck the hell out of them. We have a single point in Violent Tapestry just to further increase our rush stacks by another 10. We've got Restless. This one gives you action skill cooldown, so you're going to get your action skill cooldown really quick. Even though you've got 2 uses of it, it's going to come in handy to be able to get it back quick as well. Transcend, so you got critical hit damage and accuracy. Alacrity, I hope I said that right. This one gives you reload speed. So in case you didn't notice, the face puncher is a slow reload weapon, and that's the main weapon that I use here, so I like having that reload speed on that. Laid Bare for increased damage from all sources for a few seconds after damaging an enemy with your action skill. So you hit a guy with phase cast, but he didn't die. Now you just shoot him in the face and he's guaranteed dead. Wrath, so you got more gun damage. Gun damage after action skill use is increased even further. We are using Reverberation. So this one, you send an astral projection of Amara, dealing damage to everything in its path. So if you have a bunch of enemies lined up, it's going to hit all of them in a row, and it's going to do increased damage for every enemy that it hits. So if you hit 5 enemies, you're going to be doing a lot of damage to that final enemy that gets hit in that line of attack. One thing that I will actually suggest doing with this build now is I'm going to actually switch to Soul Sap, and this is going to allow me to steal some health. Now you could take a point out of one of these two and put it in Ascendant if you want to, and this will give you even more Soul Sap lifesteal if you're having trouble keeping your health up. That said, even if you go into fight for your life with this build, you'll be able to get out of it really easy, even against Mayhem 10 enemies that are moving around and acting like fools. You won't have a problem with that. We're going to use some Soul Sap just to show it off. Anima, put 4 out of 5 here. This gives you status effect damage, duration, and action skill status effect damage. 1 point in Infusion. You only need a single point in this skill in order to give your weapon the action skill element that you're using. 3 out of 5 in Tempest. This gives you some more elemental damage, and shock damage is increased even further. We got 1 point in Illuminated Fist, but again with that MUSE class mod, it bumps it all the way to 4 out of 1, which is 300% melee damage, which is just absolutely ridiculous. And then we got the green tree, and this time I've actually gone all the way to the bottom of the green tree. Now previously I didn't bother with the green tree past this point. I didn't go past the middle. But then I realized if I could have some points in Jab Cross, that's going to give me even more action skill damage, a little bit more gun damage, but I can also grab Guardian Angel just in case I do go and fight for my life. It's not super important. Really, honestly, you're probably not going to need it that much, but it's there just in case something goes wrong and you do have to get out of it real quick. But then we can also capstone with the Blitz Melee Override. Press R3 while aiming at an enemy to make Amara dash a short distance forward and perform a special melee strike, dealing elemental melee damage. If a Blitz melee attack kills an enemy, Blitz's cooldown is immediately reset, so you can punch another enemy. This gives you 100% melee damage for 8 seconds. All right, also in this tree is Personal Space. Bonus damage up to 54% of damage dealt when you are at a certain range, and that range is essentially from about here to that box. That is about the range of Personal Space, roughly. Could be a little bit more than that actually, but it's pretty close to that. So as long as you're within that range with the face puncher, let's be honest, you're probably going to want to be in that range anyhow, then you should be doing some massive amounts of damage. We only put 2 points in Root to Rise, and the only reason we put points in this at all was to move to the next tree down, the next section Destruction down, but this does give you 16% extra max health. 5 out of 5 in arms deal. Now splash damage is extremely strong with Novas and with spike shields right now. We got 3 points in Samsara. Now Samsara is one of those weird skills that doesn't always work. Like for example, keep an eye on the bar where my XP is at. Samsara is supposed to work when you hit an enemy with your action skill, right? All right, now you notice it's not down there at all. Let's hit somebody else with it. Still not down there at all. It's really weird how that skill works. When it does work, it's going to give you extra healing, so that's pretty nice. All right, then we got Helping Hands. This will give you 40% damage reduction for 15 seconds after using your action skill. So this, combined with that stopgap shield, means that even if you do come out of immunity for the stopgap, you're still going to have 40% less damage applied to you for 15 seconds. So theoretically, your shield should recharge by then, and then you can start the whole process over. It's pretty nice. We got 1 point in Find Your Center. This gives you extra melee damage, melee range, and it lasts for 20 seconds. This is ideal to combo with Blitz, so you can get that really long melee attack. And then we got 2 points in Mindfulness. This way, whenever we take some sort of elemental damage, we can move super fast. We could even shoot our own feet with like a sellout and go crazy fast as well. Got 5 out of 5 in Jab Cross with for that action skill damage, and then we covered Guardian Angel as well. So if you're not using Soul Sap with this thing, you can use Stillness of Mind, and this will phase lock enemies, but it's very hard to phase lock enemies when you're using Phase Cast. So I like to also use Revelation because this does Mayhem scaled Novas now. And like I said, since we're not being able to put anything into sustainment, you might want to just stick with Soul Sap. That way you get that healing with your action skill whenever you cast it. But like I said, you're going to kill stuff so easy with this build that staying alive is not going to really be a problem. It's really just kind of like my Mo Zerker build. It's offense over defense pretty big time. So just keep that in mind. And as you see, we just absolutely shredded everything over there. Is there anybody still alive? There's a dude over here somewhere. He's hiding. I don't blame him. I think I would have hid too, honestly. And then this guy's coming out late. He's dead. And then I believe there will be one more dude that comes out over here. There we go. And he's dead. Let's go. So yeah, that's how good this build is, man. You can just zip right through everything. So that's the skill tree. Let's go ahead and just show this thing off versus some mobs. 99% of the time, I'm just using the face puncher and utilizing that stopgap trick that I was telling you guys about with the Muse and the Shockstone White Elephant. Now the White Elephant, in case you guys didn't know, whenever you melee an enemy, it's going to apply a sticky. It has a 30% chance to apply a sticky, I should say. With the face puncher, you're guaranteed to apply some stickies because you're going to have so many projectiles come out. So basically every time you shoot something, it's going to be stickies on an enemy. And those stickies are going to explode and do more melee damage as well. So very strong, and also splash damage. So it's just really good. And as you can see, this is Mayhem 10, by the way, in case you guys were thinking, okay, this is K6 using Mayhem 10 weapons versus Mayhem 0. No, this is Mayhem 10. You know, you're just going to absolutely destroy everything in your sights, man. It's just that good, dude. Just that good. Like, a lot of times I'm standing around waiting on enemies to spawn so I can kill them, you know? But yeah, that's how this build works. We'll go in here and kill this boss and show it off a little bit more with that. All right, so we're about to go up against a dude that's heavily armored. We're going to swap over to Blight Tiger so we get corrosive damage on there. So you hit him with the piss grenade, hit him with your phase cast, shoot him a few times in the gut, and he is dead. So now we got to wait for a second phase. We'll hit him with the piss again, repeat the process. And voila, that's all it takes, dude. That's all it takes, man. It's that good. Really fun for mobbing, but it's also great for bosses now too. Like I said, those DLC 4 bosses, I hear a lot of people complaining about how hard they were, and I had no idea that they were hard because I took Face Cast Amara through first, and it was a cakewalk. And like I said, I even used underleveled stuff. And look, we just now got you a URAD one. I'll throw that on here too, just in case you want to play around with some URAD stuff. So that's it. That's the build guide. I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you did, then make sure you hit that like button, hit subscribe, tap the bell icon to be notified when I post a new video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.